compartir información que en un momento también me fue útil y que ustedes vean de cómo es mi nivel de inglés y que ustedes puedan compararse con el nivel de inglés. I am back. The last time I shared a video on this channel, we were this big. Now, a couple of months later, we are this much bigger, which is something that absolutely blows my mind, especially if you consider that I haven't uploaded a single video in about 4 or 5 months. So to all of you who are new to the channel, thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome aboard. I really hope that you enjoy the ride. And talking about ride, why don't we get this video started? The Instagram story that you saw at the beginning of the video was filmed and shared a couple months ago. And the idea with that story was to prepare a video precisely on my thoughts about my experience with English here in Canada. More specifically, how's been my day-to-day life, how was school because I already finished, and how is work, especially work. So the intent of this video is to kind of give a continuation to that Instagram story and share with you my thoughts on that regard. So let's get to it. Okay, let's start with what I think is the easiest one. It's the day-to-day life. Why is the easiest one? Very simple reason. You don't speak too much English aside from going to the grocery store or going to the bank or whatever place it might be, right? So at home we only speak Spanish, aside from the kids that they don't want to speak Spanish. But yeah, and I do remember at the beginning of this journey 2 years ago when we first arrived in Canada, I had this issue with overthinking things. To give you an example, when I wanted to go to the bank, on my way to the bank, I will start thinking about the questions that I wanted to ask, how to ask them, and what will be probable answers that I will get to my questions, and how I will react to those questions. So yeah, I was an overthinker until one day that I went to the RBC branch that's very close to my house, and this very friendly Chinese lady was servicing me, and I remember that her English skills were even lower than mine 2 years ago, and I told myself, this person is able to communicate with people every single hour of every single day. How come you are overthinking things like to the extreme that you will think about probable answers to questions, right? So from that date on, I tried to put this mindset in my head, not to overthink things, and just try to speak my mind. Whatever comes out of my mouth, that was it. And it really helped me. And of course, there is one big factor that will also help you here in Canada, is that a lot of people are going through the same process you are going right now. They have been there they are there and they understand what you're going through. And if they see that you misspell a word or you mispronounce something or whatever it is, they will do their absolute best to understand you and try to help you. So to better communicate with that person. So yeah, so that's by far the easiest one, because you don't have to speak English. Like, come on, there are days where I don't even go outside of my house, so I don't have to speak English at all. Okay, so end of the story is like, the one thing to learn is, do not overthink things. Just speak your mind, whatever comes out of your mouth. That's it. Remember that it's always a learning process. Okay. I don't know if you can tell, but it's actually raining right now. I'm kind of hiding under this tree, hoping not to get too wet while I record this video. But the next point of this video is speaking English at school, right? So one for sure big concern that we all have before coming to Canada is how am I going to perform at school with a totally new language, and by the way, only speaking in English, right? So again, a good thing that will happen to you is that everyone else is at school will be in the same boat as you are. For instance, in my case, 99% of the students in my college were from India, and these guys have a very strong accent. So for you to understand them, at least at the beginning, it will be difficult to put a word to it, but that's also good, because that will also train you and like train your ear, right, to so for you to be able to understand different accents and different ways of pronouncing the same words. So it's also a really good learning experience. Of course, teachers they know what you're going through, the whole process of adapting to a new language, and for the most part, they will always try to speak slower than usual. They will try to articulate words, so for you is way more clear to understand them. For sure, you have to present quizzes, you have to present exams, midterms, and you have to do presentations and all of that. And on those, you have to be very careful. For presentations, I would say it's just a matter of practicing until you have your speech kind of memorized, and just thinking about possible questions for you to answer at the end of the presentation, and that's it. But when you are presenting a midterm, for instance, I would say that 70% of the questions are MCQ, multiple choice questions, but you also have those fill in the blanks and what they call short answers, which are questions that you have to answer in a sentence tops. So for those type of questions where you have to actually write the sentence, they will also assess your spelling. So you have to be very careful with that. And other than that, school is a really good place to further develop your English skills, because you will have to interact a lot more with the other students, with the professors, with the presentations and all of that. And they do have, take into consideration that English is not your first language, and that you will have errors coming out of your mouth, misspelling words and things like that, or mispronouncing words, putting a strong accent where it isn't, and things like that. But they are very easygoing in that regard. So again, school, a lot more interaction than in your day-to-day life, and really good to develop your writing and presentation skills, which you will need at work. Work. Okay, guys, work. For me, absolutely the most difficult environment to, for you to speak English at. And I thought about a few reasons. The first one is there is no waiting time for you. Let's say someone comes to you and engages in a conversation about a topic, a work topic for sure. At that moment, trust me, there won't be any time for you to go to Google Translate and just to think about, oh my God, how do I say this? What's the meaning of this word? You will have to speak out your mind right there at that moment. You will make mistakes, absolutely. People would do their best to understand you, but there is no waiting time. You will have to engage at that precise moment. Number two, they won't stop for you, meaning that they won't slow down. They will just speak to you like you're a regular other person on the room. And to give you an example, every month I participate in a client meeting with other 15 people. Can you imagine if I tell these guys at the beginning of the meeting, hey guys, can you please speak as clear as you possibly can so I can better understand you, because I don't want to miss a single word. These guys, they don't care at all. You are the one who has to open your ears, pay attention, and do your absolute best to catch every single word, because they won't stop for you. Okay? That's point number two. And point number three, I wrote on my notebook here. By the way, this is my YouTube notebook here. I have a couple video ideas and things that I want to share with you in the coming months. Okay, so the third one. Oh, this is good. But for this one, I want you to think about exactly when you were starting your career, like 2-3 years ago, whatever it is. Now think about you trying to learn all of those new terms at work, so for you to be able, right, to communicate effectively with all the other people, your co-workers and that. So, for instance, I work in construction. You know that there are a lot of technical terms that we use in construction. So now you have to try to catch up with the terms that are transferable, meaning that beams are columns, beams and columns son columnas y vigas, steel es el acero, y hay un montón más de términos que son transferibles del inglés al español y viceversa. But trust me, there is a bunch of new terms that you will have to learn in a matter of weeks, maybe 2-3 months. And there is a bunch of new things that we don't use in Latin America. Remember, the construction industry here is very different than ours. They use a lot of materials that we don't have. They use so many layers in their buildings because of the winter that we don't need. So all of those things will be new for us, and you will have to catch up as soon as you humanly can. So you will be able to communicate effectively with the trades. And trust me, when the electrician comes to you and asks you for an information, you can't say, I don't know how to say this word, or what is it that you are talking about? Can you show me in a drawing? You will have to do your absolute best to catch up with whatever they're telling you or asking you, and try. So trust me, work in your first months, at least in your first work, will be like full learning experience. You will learn in a few months way more than whatever you learned at school for the whole 2 years of your program. So there you have it, guys. And by the way, if you notice, I do have a strong accent saying some things. I do have some mispronunciations, and that's fine too. That's part of the journey. People know what you're going through. They know that your English is not your native language, right? So even at work, they will try to understand. Oh my God, this is insane now. They will try their best to understand, and but you, my friend, the responsibility. You are the accountable for catching up with the system. Put a word to that, and to do your absolute best. So yeah, those are the three main environments where you will need English in day-to-day life, school, and then finally work. And trust me, it's learning experience. I can tell. Oh God, I can tell for sure how much I've been able to improve in the past few years. By interacting with people and all of that. And man, I'm just super grateful for this experience, and just thinking about how much will I be able to improve in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, and moving forward. So yeah, that's it. See you. Bye. Hey, hey, you're still there. Thank you for that. As you saw in the video, things got really bad at the end of it, so I decided to cut it off on that day, which it was yesterday, by the way, and try to continue today. That's how life is. But first, let me explain what this cap means. I just posted an Instagram post announcing or letting you guys know that we just got approved our work permit for the next 3 years here in Canada, which is a huge milestone for all of us who have been, for you and for me, because we all have been part of this journey together. So the idea has always been document our journey and see, to share as much as we can, and to try to inform you guys as much as I can. Those are agents' friends, by the way. Yeah, so the next section of this video is me basically trying to explain you where did I learn my English. And even though I'm going to tell you where I learned my English, I honestly don't recommend you to follow my footsteps, and that's basically because it's taken me my whole life to get to where I am right now. I've never studied English before, aside from maybe 3 classes that I took when I was preparing myself to take the IELTS. And so what I do recommend you is, if you want to do things like in the proper way, is go to an English school in your country and basically shrink what it took me my whole life. You can shrink it to a year, maybe a year and a half. It depends how much intention and time you put into it, right? So for me, it took me my whole life, basically playing video games, watching a lot of TV shows, movies, and all of that, reading a lot of articles on the internet, even books and all of that. But I didn't do any of that just thinking that someday I might be living in Canada. At the end of the day, it worked out really great. I was able to learn the language and everything. It helped me a lot to, when we made a decision to come to Canada, the language was kind of back here in my head, and it was just, a matter of practicing. And by the way, talking about practicing, the one thing that I didn't have practice at all was speaking, because I had no one to practice with. So I literally started speaking in English when I first arrived in Canada 2 years ago. So I can already tell the massive difference in my pronunciation, in how fast I can vocalize things in English now compared to when I first arrived in Canada. And I wanted to let you guys know at the beginning, it might be frustrating sometimes when you're trying to say things and things don't come to your mind like in the proper way. And trust me, that's part of the journey. Like I said, I've been able to increase my performance when it comes to speaking, right, in the past few years, and I can already imagine where will I be in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years. God knows. But I'm truly, thankful for how much I've been able to progress in this journey in terms of speaking, writing, and all that. And it does help a lot that I'm immersed in the culture here, and that helps a lot. I'm not gonna lie. And my one big recommendation to you, if you want to learn for sure, is try to dive deep into the language, meaning read a lot in English, speak a lot if you can, if you have someone to practice with. Read a lot of articles on the internet, books. If you don't know the meaning of a word, try searching it online. Try to see how that word is pronounced correctly and things like that. At the end of the day, you will make a lot of mistakes. We all do. But just by watching this video, you have realized that I made a lot of mistakes and I get confused too sometimes. And yo tengo un problema en español, que es que yo no vocalizo muy bien. Yo trato siempre, no es que trato, pero esa es la forma que yo hablo, que yo no articulo bien la palabra y básicamente hablo con la mandíbula cerrada. And that happens to me in English too, so that's something I have to live with. Especially at work, I have to do my absolute best to vocalize perfectly, all the words so everyone can understand what I'm trying to say. And you make mistakes, everyone tries to understand, but trust me, work, even though it's the hardest environment for you to speak English at because of so many new things that you will learn and you will experience, is by far the area where you will learn the most. So yeah, there you have it. That's my experience when it comes to learning English. And yeah, see you in the next section. Let me just finish my coffee, celebrating how we got approved for 3 years. Super nice, happy. So yeah, guys, there you have it. That's been my first video, my first ever video in English, and I honestly think it will be the last one. The purpose of this channel is not me sharing my experiences in English, even though I do not completely discard in the future making videos in English, especially because I have some ideas for the future of the channel, and that might require me interviewing someone in English, to provide you with better information probably. So not 100% discarded, but for the time being, the videos on this channel will continue to be in Spanish, because right now I think that's the best way for me to serve you, my audience, which is mostly in Latin America for sure. And yeah, thank you so much for watching the classic. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe the video. Absolutely share with everyone, your friends, your family, your acquaintances. That's a really difficult word for me to pronounce, but yeah, we are back. Thank you so much for watching. Again, to all of you who are new to the channel, welcome aboard. I hope you enjoyed the ride. And if you are someone that you're from an English-speaking country, please leave a comment down below. To all of you who are already part of this family, in this video it is forbidden to comment on Spanish, only English. So it's time to practice, right? If you were able to understand everything what I've said, trust me, you are one step closer to coming to Canada and fulfilling your desire to come and live in this great country. So this video in English comments only. Okay, see you in the comment section. Bye bye, and as usual, ciao ciao.